Hi everyone, Stepan here. Gonna play a game. Apparently I played this guy twice, and he's leading me 2-1. Okay, let's try to fix that. I apologize for the sound. I'm in a room with very bad acoustics, and also, if you think there's a brick wall behind me, there isn't. It's wallpaper, because why not? We're playing the Karpov Caro-Kann, and the main line here is takes and 95, but he decides to give me a tempo, which is fine. Now black is very close to equal because black gets to play bishop g4 and threaten to take the d4 pawn, so white should play c3. Yeah, and now after e6, black is very okay. Because the bishop is outside of the pawn chain and the other bishop can come out to d6 or to e7. So I don't think this is a precise way for white to play, but still. By the way, I wish you all a very happy new year. If I don't know what time zone you're in, it's about 4 p.m. in Croatia now. So we went to visit a friend for New Year's, so the girls are going to be... They will start partying soon, I guess. I still don't know where we're going tonight. They keep mentioning places I haven't heard of, because we're in a city, in a new city, but yeah, that should start soon. Why bishop e2? He probably wants to go knight e5. So liberates the knight. If I castle, then knight e5. Seems okay for me. I could also go queen c7, and on knight e5 I don't win a pawn because the queen would defend the e5 square. But if I castle and he goes bishop g5, that's still okay. It should be about equal, this position. The only thing I have to decide is whether I want to allow him to double my f-pawns. So if he plays bishop g5, I could just go queen c7. I don't think I mind having doubled f-pawns. And on knight e5, okay, now I could go queen c7. I could go queen c7 because I really want to go rook d8. The question is, where does my other rook go? Does my other rook go to e8 or c8? I think I like rook e8, rook d8. I don't think I want to go h6, because then knight e5, g4 would basically win the bishop pair for white. If queen b6, then bishop f6 takes, rook b1 seems okay. I should go c5 or e5 at some point, so maybe I go c5 now. C5 seems okay here. I need to break down that center and gain a bit more space. Knight e5 is less efficient now because I can take on e2, queen e2, and then take on d4, giving him an IQP. Okay, if he wishes to give up the bishop pair, that's fine. I'm just gonna take. I mean, if he takes on d8 and then takes on f6, I'm very fine with that. The bishop pair in this position would be a huge advantage, because firstly, my rook would come to the d file first, and then also I would have the bishop pair with pawns on both sides of the board. So if he plays, for example, queen c2, I may continue bishop g6 first to chase the queen, and then queen c7. If he plays rook e1, then I have queen b6, double attacking b2 and f2, forcing rook back to f1. If queen b3, I don't think I trade queens. I think I play queen c7 instead of queen b6. This position is dead even as it is now, so trading queens would make it even worse. Of course, I'm going to try to win even from an equal position. If you can hear some background noise, it's the air conditioning. There's no heating here, so we're using air conditioning, so it makes noise. It's really cold if I turn it off. I don't think he should have taken on c5, because now the knight would be really unstable on e5 and on d4. But maybe it's okay. I don't know. This is the first time either of us is using some time. I have to say, I think my dark squared bishop is more active. This pin with the g5 bishop, it doesn't really do anything, because he's never threatening to take on f6. I mean, he would be if his queen and bishop were lined up on the light squares, but even so, I could just go bishop g6. Okay, he trades queen, switch rook. I think this rook, because I'm never going to be using the e-file anyway. Now the knight is pinned, unless he goes knight d4. But if he goes... Oh, why? He wants to go knight e5 now. But I have bishop e4. Knight e5, bishop e4. He can go f3. He can go f3. Knight e5, bishop e4, f3, knight d5, c4. He is gaining a ton of space. He doesn't have f3 yet because it's pinned, but he could have f3 soon. Also, I want my knight on e4 because I have pressure on f2. Okay, I'm not gonna allow him to take. I'm gonna go bishop e4 for now. Even though I want to go knight e4. King h2 would be a funny blunder because I'd have bishop d6, but then bishop f4, g5, he has bishop g3. I like my bishops. So if he moves the f1 rook, let's say to d1, then all I have to do is retreat my bishop and play bishop takes f2 check, and then knight e4 picks up the bishop on g5. As expected. So if my bishop wasn't there, if my bishop wasn't on e4, I would have bishop takes f2. So can I gain a tempo with bishop c2? Bishop c2, rook d8, rook d8. He plays rook c1. Then my bishop has to move again. And if I go bishop d5, he goes c4. I really want to go bishop takes f2, but I don't see how. I don't want to go bishop c6, I don't want to go bishop d5. If I go bishop c2, then rook d8, rook d8. Rook c1, bishop a4. I'm gonna try bishop c2. My bishop is kind of misplaced anyway. This is a very strong threat, and my bishop on a4 isn't bad. I can put it on e8 and then try to play around his threats, try to misplace the knight and then go bishop c6. c6 is obviously the optimal square, but I don't want to give my bishop up. And I don't think he wants to take on f6, so rook d8, rook d8, rook c1 seems like the best way to handle this, unless he wants to go bishop e3. If he goes knight d3, I can take, bishop takes, and then bishop f2 doesn't work because the bishop's covering d3. But he doesn't have knight d3 now because it's covered twice. Okay, I'm going bishop a4 as intended. Covering d1, threatening bishop f2. On knight d3, I can go bishop b6 and then bishop c6. Okay, this is also fine. Now rook d1 would lose to rook d1, bishop f2. I mean, it would lose a pawn, wouldn't necessarily lose the game. He could also go bishop f3 now, defending e4. That's also kind of annoying. But I may have bishop c1 on bishop f3 unless he plays rook c2. Okay, for the moment he still needs to defend f2. He needs to do something about that. Either play bishop h4 or bishop f3 or knight f3. Yeah, bishop f3 defends. Good find. Good find. Now I wonder if I can get away with bishop a3. He goes rook c2. And then I go... And then what do I do? Well, the knight doesn't have too many squares. So if I go h6 and the bishop moves, then I have a rook d2. And if the bishop takes on f6, where does the knight go? d3, c6, and d7 are taken, so knight c4. And then I can go b5, so h6 takes seems okay. h6 bishop h4 rook d2 seems okay. h6 bishop f4 g5 seems okay. So I'm going h6. He has to choose a diagonal for the bishop, and that's not easy, because he cannot leave d2 undefended, definitely, but he doesn't have a way to defend d2, because I'm just going to chase the bishop away. I'm covering d2 with my rook. So if bishop f4, I go g5, if bishop e3, I take, go rook d2. If he goes b4, I can take on f2 and take on g5. I don't think he can take on f6. Yeah, I was expecting this, and now I'm gonna go g5. And I wonder where the bishop goes. e3 seems bad. g3 also seems bad. Wow, g3. Okay. So now, do I save my pawn? Or do I go rook d2? Because if I don't go rook d2 now, he's gonna go rook d1. But that also seems okay, because on rook d1 I can take and go knight e4. So I don't think he can cover d2 that easily. So I think I just save my pawn for the moment. If I go b6, knight c6 takes, bishop takes, rook d2 seems okay. I know I've given away the c6 square, but I don't think I had a choice. At least I have f4 to play with. And I do have some pressure on the c3 pawn. Okay. So I was thinking I take this and go rook d2. And that seems okay. And then I go knight d5, followed by knight f4, and he probably gives away one bishop. So I've given away the bishop pair for the d2 square. Now when I go knight d5, which bishop does he give up? The one on g3 or the other one? Do I throw in bishop a3 first? Because if I go knight d5, he could go b4. Then I have to go bishop f8. Yeah, I'm going knight d5. I don't think bishop a3, rook a1 leads to anything significant. I want to go knight f4, and I think at some point he's going to have to give up the bishop. I don't think my bishop is bad on f8 or on g7. It's putting pressure on the c3 pawn. And if the pawn moves, then I can take on b4 with the knight or with the bishop, if he does play b4. So now I just want to go bishop g7 and take the pawn on c3. If he plays bishop e5, okay, yeah, he trades now. That makes sense. I'm gonna go rook d7 so that I prevent c4 on c4 bishop b4. And then I want my bishop on g7. And I want my king on e7, d6 and marching towards. Okay, I did just fail to prevent c4. Why would I do that? Idiot. Okay, I'm gonna get my king closer. If he goes c5 takes, I can probably just go rook b7, he goes bishop d6. Or I could just go bishop back to f8. I don't want to go a5. And I don't think I can allow c5 bishop d6. So I'm going back, I'm admitting my mistake. At least now when I go to b7, he doesn't have bishop d6. I'm worse, I just don't know how much. Don't really see an easy way to get out of this. Okay, so I think I take first. I'm gonna go rook b7. He doesn't have time for bishop a7. Okay. Now he's threatening to go c6. So I think I have to go rook d7, although I'm not sure. I think I have to. Because I need to be able to go rook d8 on c6, or not rook d8, but anywhere on the 8th rank. I mean, I'm losing the exchange for sure. If he'd played rook b1, that was much better. Now I actually have a chance to save myself. Rook b1, there was no defense to rook b8, I think. I would have had to go bishop g7. Because now I can get my king of the second rank, and I can probably even go f6. I think rook b1 was winning. Maybe rook b1 is still winning, yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm resigning. I don't think I have an option. Let's see where I went wrong. I hate being outplayed like this. Bishop g7 was a bad blunder. Maybe at this point I was already losing, but after that I think there was no going back. Okay, so all of this is equal. And so the trick was I wanted to take on f2, so I wanted to do this. Not when my bishop is hanging, but let's say my bishop wasn't hanging. Let's say he takes and goes, I don't know, h4. Then wait, okay, now I've protected the bishop. I need a random move that allows that. Okay. Wait, it doesn't work now? Okay, yeah, it does work. Okay, this is what I wanted to do. So that was the one trick I had. Whoa. Rook c1. So let's see. It's all equal. I think bishop g7 was the blunder, although I don't know. Okay. I had knight f4? Ah, if bishop takes, then bishop f2. Ooh, nice. And if pawn takes bishop, then knight e2. Okay. Yeah, bishop g7 is just stupid. And then I... What? Okay, and then going back is the losing blunder. Well, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so I should have gone rook b7 now, and then on c5 I take the bishop, but okay, let's say the bishop moves first. And then what do I do? Yeah, I would have had a tempo on the bishop. One tempo up. So let's say here, here, and c5. bc5, bc5. And then I block in the bishop. That's key. Ah, okay, congratulations to my opponent. I played a very bad endgame. Sorry you had to see this, but it happens. Happy New Year. Bye-bye.